Because corporate banks are exhibiting a lot of force and a lot of gusto. Is this largely because markets are convinced that a sharpish recovery is coming, or this is just pure portfolio allocation and reallocation, which will also get away?
Hi Nikunj, I think we have spoken about this in the past as well, but I think corporate banks are one of the in last 4 or 5 years took a lot of beating, and they had to provide a lot into their portfolio because of the NPAs. While that was happening, their retail asset is kind of or were doing reasonably all right. So a lot of dragging was happening because of the corporate part of the portfolio. So two things have happened. One, by and large, the stressed asset has been provided for. Secondly, I think you are seeing a bit of economic revival and bit of the resolutions happening through either IBC or other way. So I think there is a reinforcement of confidence coming in the market that now worst is behind and the corporate banking will start doing well. I think post IBC, I think most of the issues we had on the corporate lending side, in my opinion, will be far better placed. In fact, some of the banks are guiding very well on the corporate credit growth in the times to come, because I think if economy has to grow, that is very essential. Some of them were scared in the past either because of their own issues at hand, and secondly also because of the setup of the some of the credit issues. Now the risk reward of that is beginning to fall in place, and as a result of the most of them are beginning to look to grow the portfolio of the corporate credit. And this is what I think is important, that as the credit growth happens, asset quality improves, retail was doing all right, there is a big ROE kicker which will be possible in these banks, and the valuations are by and large I think beaten down or very much within the reasonable range. So as these things start falling into place, you can see a structural run in these banks over next 3-4 years, both from a growth perspective as well as the re-rating perspective. So in my opinion, especially some of the two large banks like ICICI Bank and Axis Bank, both of them also had a leadership change. So in the sense, market is looking with a new hope that over next 3 to 4 years, it could be one of the biggest winners in the market.
Okay. Do you think markets are approaching the earnings season with high expectations? Right now, if I look at the screen, there is momentum. If I look at the macro, this is the best positioning which we could ask for, where interest rates are not moving higher, inflation is not going to move higher, liquidity is back and crude is lower. My only worry is, and I don't want to sound bearish here, I mean I like to see excitement, but my only worry is that what if any of the factors they turn against us? What if there is a spike in crude? What if Fed tightens more? In terms of a news flow, I think this is as good as it gets, isn't it?
Absolutely, Nikunj. I think, but if you see all the factors you mentioned, whether it was crude oil, currency, everything else, I think September, October period, they were all against us. And that's the reason we saw what happened in the market. And one more factor I must tell you, apart from all you mentioned, the markets are right now fairly under-owned, in the sense the leverage in the market is very low. And investor appetite right now, risk appetite is also one of the, probably at a very, very low level. So investors are right now waiting and watching, and because there is a huge amount of wealth destruction which has happened in last 3-4 months. So I think this setup is good, no doubt about it. But having said that, one cannot ignore lots of events ahead of us. Volatility is still ahead of us. How the global backdrop right now is there? What will be the response of the policies? Whether whether Fed will stop hiking anymore, or what happens to the quantitative winding down they were doing, will they stop, or so all those things will also determine what happens to emerging market. By and large, I think slowing global growth, and which eventually means lower commodity prices, and I think our domestic growth engine falls very well for India. So India is one of the best placed market across most of the markets in the globe. But having said that, we are also getting into an election mode, which is one of the big event in middle of the year. So I think most investors will tend to hold in terms of big capital allocation. So I believe that over next 3-4 months period, you will start seeing a bit of a consolidation, settling down the market, both global issues as well as the local issues. And I think real meaningful direction would start happening somewhere middle of the year, as we get a little bit more clarity around I think A, election, or B, also on the global policy response towards the slowdown, and that will determine the course of action. But by and large, I am not overly bearish in the market. I think there will be uncertainty, there will be volatility. One has to deal with it, but directionally we are all right.
Right. Vikas, where do you believe could be the outliers? Because we've seen that sectoral churn play out very well. Corporate banks have sprung up, autos are underperforming, so are some of the, pure play consumption themes as well. But within this sectoral churn, what do you think could outperform significantly in 2019?
So as I said, I've been saying for last 3-4 months, I think corporate banks would do very well. There's no doubt in my mind, and I think the setup for them is very well placed right now. So that would definitely within the banking space would do well. Within the financials, again, some of the plays which are aligned to the financial inclusion and economic growth, but not as dependent on the capital. So which are more non fee-based kind of players, likes of general insurance, and asset management companies. I think so. Those play, in my opinion, they are structural play, and this will be one of the best time to get into them because they are compounders. And India on those things, in my opinion, will be one of the will compound over a long period of time. So those segments, in my opinion, would be very interesting. We are beginning to see pickup in the capex. Across board, both public and private side capex, in my opinion, would start surprising people slowly, and I think that segment I am seeing lots of interesting plays to kind of play on, and you can see, and as the capacity utilization is going up, new capex is beginning, and you will see benefit of that coming through in some of those players. Other, I think, segment probably you could play out this year, and as the rural economy is, beginning to mend, government also will spend a lot of money on the rural economy side as we get into election year. You might see rural focused players, especially non-discretionary consumption, as well as some of the financials placed leveraged on that segment might end up doing well. And lastly, I would say that we should not forget the reforms which have happened in our economy over the last 2-3 years, and a result of that is unorganized to organized theme. I think that is yet to play out, and many of the stocks and segments which have fallen into this bucket have corrected a lot, and this is one of the best opportunity to get into that. It could be real estate, it could be building materials. I mean, that it cuts across fairly segment, and those segments, in my opinion, again, that's a structural growth, and this is one of the best time to kind of get exposure towards those thematic plays.
And you've been long propagating this entire theme wherein you believe that there is tremendous gains to be made in companies which are switching from the unorganized market and derive benefit of the organized plays. So where within this large basket, Vikas, are you finding or scouting for opportunities?
As I said, there are many segments. This is a very wide theme, and one can go on for long. But I think there are many themes within that. Within the consumption basket, let's say building materials is one of the big theme where we are seeing a big shift happening in this favor. We are seeing into chemical space this playing out. We are seeing in textiles this playing out. We are seeing this playing out in real estate. I mean, real estate is one of the biggest shifts slowly happening into a smaller to larger player, unorganized to organized player. Within some financials, we are seeing this playing out. So I think one can, and again, I'm not saying when I'm making this that every player in these segments are a great player. You have to study individual business model. That's when I'm a bit hesitant. With a big paint brushing the whole segment, you have to really find the good company, good segment to go after, and lot more work needs to be done. But you have lots of sub segments where multi-baggers are positioned to come, and and it is in front of us. And unorganized to organized can happen because of technological, because of regulatory reasons, because of some of the reform which has been done in the recent past, where tax arbitrage is no more there anymore, and you have to really. So there are 6-7 reasons why this whole trend is getting accelerated. And you will find these sub-segments, some of them which I mentioned, and many more actually, which could really play out.
Okay. You're talking about how NBFC lending growth may not return to 25%. So if that's the case, and you don't see that kind of momentum coming back, what is the value that you see in buying NBFCs today?
I feel you should buy two kind of NBFCs. One is where corporate backed NBFCs, where the borrowing would be reasonably easier, or the liability side will be easier to get by, and the cost will not escalate. Secondly, NBFCs with a diversified business model where there's a good management team, good risk management processes are there, and which have credibility and trust of the market. I mean, these two are big segments in my opinion, and of the size, because I think incrementally in the new environment, I feel NBFCs with not much credibility or smaller size will find it hard to raise capital, and raising capital at a right cost is one of the biggest success factor in NBFC. So if on asset side you can't differentiate much, you have to obviously do risk management and all those things. But if your cost of borrowing is not right, or cost of capital is not right, you will become incompetitive in the market. So I think NBFCs definitely are going to stay. They will serve the need of the market. So two segments I would strongly recommend in NBFC. One is that corporate backed NBFC with a good sound business model, and secondly well diversified NBFCs with the good backed by good management team, which are of size, scale and credibility. And that I think, and this year might not see that kind of growth, but I think in my opinion next year onwards, as all those things settle down, they will resume to at least 20% growth. I think from the FY20 onwards, I don't have any doubt in my mind, and this also would lead to consolidation from some of the smaller NBFC which were creating competition, both on the in the marketplace and creating sort of lot of issues. But I do believe that this event has led to good basically separating good versus bad, and the people who are going to stay from long-term perspective. And I would say those kind of NBFC, especially in the recent past, we'll see they will do well.
Because if I take the clock back, let's say Jan 2018, the view was Indian economy will recover, earnings will see a sharpish recovery. But then as we progressed higher, the earnings downgrades they started, and then everyone said, okay, write off 2018, crude, interest rates, liquidity, NBFCs, focus on 2019. Now my only challenge is that we are starting the year already with high expectations. We are starting a year when there is concentration which is centered around large cap stocks, and then we have a lot of unknown events this year, trade war, elections. You have a large factor at play when it comes to what will happen to the impact of global growth. So I'm just worried about the positioning.
Nikunj, I think it's a very good question you raised, and I think whenever you are taking a point, making a view on a market at a point in time, you always keeping in mind the situation that point in time. And in January 2018, obviously there was a euphoric period after a run of last quarter, but at the same time earnings were on the mend and all. But as the events panned out, whether it was oil price, or I mean, it started with I think our tax shock and then followed by one after another, whether trade war or oil price and everything else, and that led to eventually culminated into ILFS and lots of other issues around that. So I think you got to constantly reevaluate what's happening, how markets is changing, because you can't take view and stick to it a point in time for the rest of the year. And I think same thing you should do right now. Today you are looking at taking a view on the market based on the factors known to you, and in market, in economy, things change every time. Who thought that election outcome would be like this, and this is how market would react? So I think good part about market right now, the risks are definitely there, what you mentioned, like we have uncertainties in the market in the form of trade war, in form of global policy response on the global slowdown. We have election uncertainty. We have, I don't know how our political landscape will change and what will be their response in this next 3-4 months, what government would do. So I think we have lots of things going on. But good part is that right now markets are not leveraged, economy is doing all right, it's not rocking but it's doing all right, it's not broken. Most of the credit cycle I think is beginning to pick up, and we had a bad credit cycle in last couple of years. I think it is slowly but it is looking up. So I think we don't have any major broken issues to deal with. The only joker in the pack is that if let's say oil goes up back to 75-80, we have to deal with that problem. So as long as inflation remained in the check, I don't see we are going to kind of have a major issue. In fact, if the inflation remains check, we might see a situation where we might have a rate cut coming through in this year, 1 or 2 rate cuts, and that could be good booster. So I think there is a mix of positive and negative, and we have to constantly evaluate market as we move in. I am not worried for a significant downside at this point in the market, but at the same time so it's right now a market which will be uncertain, volatile, but structurally in the right direction.
So what would be a cyclical theme apart from corporate banks which you are bullish on? I mean, if you're bullish on corporate banks, you would be bullish on industry and cyclical demand to make a comeback. So where are you bullish on industrial and cyclical demand to come back? Are you bullish on sugar? Are you bullish on, let's say, industrials? Are you bullish on engineering companies? What exactly are you bullish on?
I am bullish on, I think, industrials for sure. I am bullish on, engineering companies. If you see order book of those companies, are beginning to pick up. And some of these companies are also benefiting from the infrastructure into, investment into infrastructure. So let's say, for example, huge amount of investment is happening into city gas distribution. You see the impact of that happening into lots of companies, which are leveraged to that. And those kinds of things are, I think, you are seeing good value and good growth ahead of them. And there are many more companies. There are, of course, small companies. They are not very large companies. But even like companies like L&T, in my opinion, which is leveraged both to public and private capex, will do very well. I mean, they are beginning to guide very well on the order book side, right? So I think I see this is an early sign of a good, directional move. So in that segment, and again, you can look at large cap companies, you can look at smaller companies. In that both segment is available, in this space. Obviously, one has to study the moat and competitive intensity of every company. But I find structurally this theme is going to do well.
Okay, and great that you shared all those themes of interest with our viewers as well. Vikas, good speaking with you as always.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, that's the view coming in from Vikas Khemani on where he sees the market and where he finds opportunities.